Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Christmas cards I'll be uploading in the coming weeks. Otherwise, if you've been following me for a while, welcome back. Today, I'll be showing you how to paint 3 beautiful, easy watercolor cards you can make for your friends and family, especially as we near Christmas and the holidays can get super busy. The first 2 will be 2 different styles of snowmen, and the third will be a Santa face. So, let's get started. First, you'll need watercolor paper. You can use any watercolor paper you want, but I'll be using bee paper. It is supposed to be 100% cotton, so let's see how well this works out. The only other 100% cotton papers I've gotten to try are Arches and Paul Rubens, so I'm excited to try this brand next. Make sure you paint on the right side. For this paper, they have a rougher tooth side and a smooth side. I'm going to go ahead and say it's the rough side that should be painted on. The value of this pack is fantastic. You get 50 6x9 inches pre-cut sheets for $19, which when cut in half fits almost perfectly on these DIY cards that I got from MacLeod. They're by Recollections, and they're 6.5 by 5 inches. The brushes I'll be using are synthetic with the exception of the Winsor & Newton Sable Rigger brush. The green one you see there is by Archet. I think that's how you pronounce it. Please correct me in the comments below. It's the number 6150-R size 8. The team one there are some cheap ones I got from Daiso. So what I'm doing here is folding the DIY card I got in half. They come pre-scored, so that's pretty nice. You can use a bone folder if you want to crease it down, or just use your hands. Both work just fine. And as you can see here, when folded, it measures 5 by 6.5, which is perfect for our watercolor paper. Just so you know, I sped up this video by 2 times the normal speed to make this video quicker. I originally wanted to keep this video in real time. However, since I painted a lot slower than I normally would on purpose so you all can see my steps, speeding up by 2 was the best of both worlds. So what I'm doing next is taking the 6x9 inch sheet and cutting it down on the long side of 4.5 inches to fit the card I just folded, giving me 2 sheets each. Now we are ready to paint our first snowman. First, try to imagine 3 circles stacked on top of each other. The larger one will be at the bottom, while the smaller, which will become the head, will be at the top. Keep that in mind as we work. You do not need to draw circles for the snowman. But if you feel you have to or don't feel confident, use a pencil with a light hand so you can erase the lines later. For this painting, the less you do, the more beautiful this card will become. To help you ground yourself in the snowman, start by drawing a line a quarter up the card. Because our snowman is going to be pure white, we only need to focus on the shadows. To find your shadows, decide where the light is coming from. For mine, it's coming from the upper right hand corner. Those of you out there who like to be technical, this is called negative painting. Now you can use any watercolor you have on hand. I happen to have Daniel Smith, Schminken, Rotterdam, and Core watercolors. So those are the ones I'll be using. The color I used first was Phthalo Blue by Core. Then I went in and added some Schminken Mountain Blue. What I'm doing here is adding more colors and fixing the shape to my liking. Watercolors dry lighter, so I want to make sure the saturation and vibrancy that I want will remain there when I'm done. Next, I'm going in with a Daniel Smith Mayan Dark Blue, or PB82 for those who would like to know the pigment color. I'm doing this to add more depth to the shadows. You can stop at just the blue shadows if you want, but I like the depth that multiple colors can make with watercolors. Like everything else, you can use whatever dark blue you have on hand. I'm choosing to use this color because I'm just in love with this color from Daniel Smith. It's such a rich but moody color and it's so versatile for any painting too. Plus, I really want a reason to use it, so this snowman card was perfect to create a cold but beautiful look. If you mess up, don't worry. The beautiful thing about watercolor is that there's no such thing as a mistake. Only happy accidents. If you do happen to paint something you didn't mean to, erasing it when still wet would do the trick. There's still some color in that line, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring it down with some clean water. It's a good way to create control gradients in the shape that you want, or in this case, fading shadows, giving us an impression that this is a sunny but cold wintry day. Now I'm just zooming in for you because halfway through I realized it'd be a lot more helpful if you actually saw what I did up close, so I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I was helpful earlier. Anyways, now that I'm happy with my snowman, I can go in and start adding the details. I'm using my rigger brush for this because since it's sable, it can hold up a lot more color and give me the position I need. I am still using the same Daniel Smith dark Mayan blue for the eyes and buttons. It's so dark by itself, so it can look black, which is perfect. So oops, I wasn't careful enough and I made a little streak across the page there, so I quickly erased that with water and fixed it a little bit as much as I can. And again, there is really no mistake in watercolor, just happy accident. So I made it work somehow. Next, I'm giving my snowman a nose here, and the smile and in the inks aren't actually dried yet, so I recommend that if you do this, you wait for it to dry. I'm just a little patient, so I was just very careful when I attempted this. And of course, my snowman wouldn't be complete without a hat, so I'm giving him a top hat here. I start by making a line across his head and choosing the length that I liked. And then next what you want to do, or what I did actually, is imagine a square on top of that line. But I didn't color it completely, kind of like the rest of the other side of the snowman. I just put a bit of ink and used the white as a highlight. So you don't need much. And then just quickly scribble it in, and there's your top hat. Isn't that pretty? And then now all I'm doing is adding more shadows to the snowman to give it more depth. So like I said, watercolors tend to dry lighter than uh, when they're wet, so it, it helps to go back in and add a few more things. And now I'm doing the branches, and this is optional. You can use a pen if you want. I'm just going in with my Daiso brush here because um, and using the same PB82 from Daniel Smith Dark Mayan Blue here and giving it in branches because I just wanted to look kind of empty without the branches, and you could either give him branches if you don't want to, it's up to you. And the key with drawing branches is that you want to go from thick to thin because especially since this is a bit more realistic snowman, you want to keep that in mind when you're creating your branches. Alright, now that I'm done, I'm just going to show you what it looked like on top of the card. As you can see, it's a little smaller. So, for this one, I'm just going to leave it as it is. But if you want to, you can create a border around it. Or, you could just paint around it. It doesn't matter. But it's up to you. And then here, I'm going in with a red gel pen that I have and writing Merry Christmas on it. You can use anything you want. For me, again, I had this on hand. I didn't have anything special to use, so I put it on there, and I wasn't quite centered, but that's again, that's okay. It's the thought that counts, right? Next, we are going to paint our second snowman. For this one, it'll be a lot more simple, but also very cute. First, you'll need to use a waterproof pen and draw 3 circles, each consistently getting bigger than the other. I'm using a Copic pen here, but any waterproof pen would do, like the Sakura Micron pens. If you don't have a pen, a pencil will be fine too. I'm giving this snowman a scarf instead of a hat, and keeping the branches super simple, giving this card something more of a whimsical feeling. Don't worry if you do not always paint within the lines because, uh, that's the whole point of being whimsical, right? You don't have to worry. And with the holidays coming up and there's so many things going around and so many things to do and see, why would you want to make your life harder by trying to be perfect? The whole point of this one is to relax and just have fun and have fun with watercolors. The color I'm using here is Schminke Mountain Blue. So if you don't have that color, ultramarine blue, any ultramarine blue from a brand should do. And go ahead and fill it all in. And don't worry about shadows or highlights. We're not even gonna do that in this one. We're just gonna keep it real simple and real easy. To add interest to our monotonous blue here, I'm just gonna add some purple to give it some interest. And I'm not really sure what was in this color. It's not like it came in a tube. I actually mixed it myself, and so I don't remember what I used to mix this in because I mixed this in a long time ago. But I'm sure there was some maybe there was definitely no ultramarine blue in there. I'm pretty sure there was some uh yeah, actually I have no idea. There might be more ultramarine blue in there, but whatever it is, any purple will work. It doesn't matter. I just chose that purple because it was already on hand and I had it. So as you can see there, yeah, adding more than one color, especially when it's pretty close to each other on the color wheel, really adds some interest to the picture there. So if you find that you don't want it all blue or purple like that, you can easily lift it out with a dry, clean brush like I'm doing right here. That's why I decided I thought it was too much, so I am lifting it out like that. And as you can see, it lifts out really easily when it's still wet. You don't want to do this when it's dry because it's a little harder. And thankfully, the colors that I used, which was some mountain blue and some of the purples that I mixed, they did not stain really easily like the Daniel Smith one, the Mayan dark blue. That one stains really easily, so it was easy to lift out. And now I'm just writing happy holidays on there like I did the other ones in my blue gel pen here in two different colors. I was just experimenting to see how it looked, but it turned out okay. Nothing to be too excited about. I tried putting in some snowflakes at the ends in the beginning there to see how it looked like, and I was hoping that it would turn out good, but not as good as I expected it. But whatever, it's on there. We're good. We're happy. Time to move on. So now that the painting is dried, we're gonna go in and give it a bit of a blush there because the snowman's cold and he has rosy cheeks. And what the color I'm using here is, I believe, so that pink color there is actually Daniel Smith uh, Quinacridone Lilac Fluorescent PR122 Fluorescent. I was actually trying to reach for the core PR122, which was not as fluorescent, but I reached for the wrong color. So now our snowman's gonna be having pink blushing fluorescent cheeks, which is just fine. It worked out fine. There is no mistakes in watercolor, just happy accident. Taking the nickel as a yellow layer from core and mixing it with the Daniel Smith one PR122 fluorescent to get some nice orange. And for the record there, later I discovered that there was some sparkle, some sheen sparkle in the blue there, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And when I was looking at it, I realized that I accidentally mixed in some Daniel Smith Mayan Blue Genuine in there. You might not see the sparkle there, but on the card itself, there was a sheen sparkle coming from the Mayan Blue Genuine from Daniel Smith. So again, another happy accident that I did not foresee coming. Now that we're gonna wait for the cheeks and scarves to dry, we're gonna go make our Santa face here. And this one is a little bit more challenging because you have to work on the skin tone. And the colors I used were a combination of azure yellow and the orange that I mixed, which was a mix of the Pyro Red Light from Core and some yellow ochre and some again of the quinacridone lilac from Core. So it's a mixture of those, get some pink flesh tones in there and some yellow flesh tone in there. And what I created here is that something of a odd rectangular shape. Now, if you're not, if you don't, it's too hard for you, you could just make an oval egg shape, and that works too. But what I'm doing here is that I made it that shape because I was gonna add a beard, as you can see here, with a wet on wet technique. And what that just means is I wet the paper first, and then I go in there and add in the colors later, as I'm doing here. And the reason why I'm making the beard blue was because I'm just creating the shadows for the beard so that we know that it's actually beard. I mean, beards are not actually blue, it's just the shadows that I made. And I'm adding different colors in there just to keep it interesting. Trying not to touch the skin there so that I don't mix the blue and the skin tone. And then it's actually really, it's actually really hard because I did this 3 times before I was satisfied with it. And then now what I'm doing is adding some speckled blue around the area to keep it interesting, because what ended up happening was that I didn't make my center face big enough. So there was so much white space. And then in order to tackle that issue of too much white space, I added some speckled paint here and there to keep it from looking too empty. Be very gentle and very careful when you use this method that you see him doing, because it is a splatter. It can get into the skin or into the face there, and then you might end up with a little bit of a blue color going on there. Also, I recommend that when you attempt this method, you tape down the painting, because when you use a wet and wet technique, it has more of a chance to warp, like you're seeing here. As you can see here, it's starting to warp and getting curvy. So I recommend you tape it down. If you have washi tape, you tape it down. Washi tape, it should be okay. If you don't, just a little bit of masking tape should be okay. I waited for this painting to dry before I continued, and you know what? That beard turned out so beautiful. It was better than I expected. So moving on with the Santa hat. To make the first part, imagine or think of it as a long fluffy cloud, and you just want to outline it really quickly to get the shape that you want, and then you can shade it in, and then you can go and add more to the beard if you want to, but just keep using the same color that you used for the beard as before to keep the color consistent. For Santa's hat, we're going to imagine a cone or a triangle, and we're not going to fill it in all the way because we're just going to keep it like that to keep the highlights from the white there and keep it interesting. But then we're going to bring down to the side, and that'd be a droopy hat. And then taking the same color, any red color would do, you want to put it on his cheeks and his nose to give him some blush and a red nose, because he was just right outside and it's really cold out. And as you can see here, I should have waited for the blue beard to dry before I attempted the blush, but whatever, it could be kind of pinkish, right? And once again, like the blue splatter, I'm taking the red and then splattering that very carefully around the area as well. Careful not to get it where you don't want it, and just so that the red and blue can complement whatever is on the card right now. As you can see, the red has bled into the blue, but that's fine. We're just going to keep it like that. We're not going to blot it out or anything. And then I'm just refining the blush and making it a little bit more lighter than it is bright red. And then I'm going in and making the last piece of that hat with the blue to outline the fluffy part. And then I'm just taking my Copic marker here, and I am putting in 2 dots for the eyes and a smiley face for his lips. That's it. Now we are done with our Santa face card, and we just gotta write a little holiday cheer on the card. And I'm just taking my blue pen here, and I'm just gonna keep it simple and say ho ho ho. You can say whatever you want. I just figured that was the most appropriate one. Now that all our paintings are dried, it is time to paste them on the cardstock. I'm using glue here, but you can use whatever you want to glue the painting on the greeting card. As I'm pasting this card down, I am not measuring it, I'm just eyeballing it and hoping for the best. And it turned out pretty good. And then what I do is I'm just taking my score here from my paper cutter and I'm just scoring it down, pressing it down as hard as I can so that it will stick on there. And I'm just making sure that I get the corners and the sides because that will be the most important thing. And I'm just doing the same thing with the other card here too. So very quickly, I'm just going to show you what you can do if you don't like the white border there. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking some washi tape, candy cane washi tape I got from Michael's last year, and I'm just reusing it, and I'm pasting it at the edge where the painting is at. What I'm going to do is cut it out later, as you will see here. And I'm just scoring the washi tape down to make sure that it is absolutely on there and that it won't move when I go to cut it. So here I'm using a metal edge ruler with a box cutter, and you can actually use an X-Acto knife if you want. I just couldn't find mine. So I went to get my box cutter instead, and I'm just going straight down the card like you see here. Just be careful that when you do this method, you don't actually cut the card, especially on the fold side. But if you do see that there's some imperfections there, what you can do is just, again, take the box cutter or X-Acto knife and cut it along the edge, and then just take it off like that. Well, that's it. These are the cards for today. Be sure to hit a like and subscribe so that you can be notified when I have the other videos up. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought about these, and if you made anything, please share them below as well. Alright, see you next time!